Zambala.com presents. Michael Jackson died on the 25th of June, 2009. This man has changed pop music, but until the end of his life was totally unhappy. Childhood traumas and shyness didn't let him tell a story and forced him to hide his heartache behind a smiling mask. Here are 7 stories that will help you to understand the personality of Michael much better. Cruel father. Michael and his 4 older brothers started careers with the group Jackson 5. His father Joseph was a manager. In the early 70s, Jackson 5 was called the phenomenon of pop music. But real life of Jackson brothers was like a hell. His father was a home tyrant. He did not just beat children, but did it with sadistic pleasure, turning punishment into a ritual. He took off the clothes of kids, smeared them in oil, and then beat them with iron cord by naked skin. When a boy was 9 years old, from his father he has got a nickname, Big Nose. And his father taught the rest of the brothers to call him in the same way. It is not surprising that Michael began his body modification with rhinoplasty. When a young singer was a teenager and got acne, Joe humiliated him and called him pimply. At the age of 12, Michael's father chemically castrated him to prevent teenage scrapping of his voice and in order to get rid of his acne. As a result, the singer has excluded the father from his will and has emphasized that Joe should not receive even a cent. Fire. The world stars very often become the face of Pepsi promotion. But Michael Jackson was the first one. His advertising from 1984 still remains one of the most famous commercials of this brand. But very few people know that during the filming occurred an incident. One of the cameras exploded and sparks caught on Michael's hair and clothes. He didn't notice that he was burning and continued to dance, taking the smoke for special effects. In memory of this case, Michael has got degree burns on his head of 2nd and 3rd stage. There is an opinion that Michael became addicted to painkillers during his long treatment at a California hospital. They took his life 25 years later. Supermarket. The popularity pressed Michael. In 2003, he mentioned that he wanted to go to the grocery store as a normal person, without a whisper and the click of flashes behind his back and obtrusive requests for an autograph. Michael's friend, the owner of a supermarket, heard this story and closed his store for one day, paid the staff and brought his friends and family members to imitate ordinary customers. Michael was delighted he was fooling around a lot, rode a trolley and happily made photos with the cashiers. Neverland. Actually, Michael had no childhood. He had trained to sing since 5 years. Later he dreamed about Disneyland but had no chance to visit it because of being overpopular. The residence of Michael, Ranch Neverland, looked like not a palace of a musical legend, but an amusement park. On the ranch, in addition to the carousels and the Ferris wheel, was located a zoo with exotic animals, a cinema and a skating rink. Dummies. All his life Michael suffered from loneliness because he was extremely shy. He admitted that sometimes he sits mannequins around himself and talks to them in order not to feel lonely. I love mannequins, they're like real children, guys, people, it gives me the feeling that I'm in a room with other people. In 2003, on the wave of one more pedophilic scandal around Michael, the paparazzi snuck on the Neverland ranch. In the house of the musician, they really met a lot of mannequins of kids. Debts. In 2003 started new round of scandal. 13-year-old Gavin Arvizo said about harassment. The trial lasted more than 2 years, and in the end Michael was acquitted. As a result, he lost his health and a lot of money. After the end of trial, in 2005, he took his first loan for a few $1 million. Nowadays Michael's heirs don't need money. Posthumous interest to his work and things was huge, and they were sold for solid sums of money. As a result, the managers of the musician quickly paid off their debts. Damaged reputation. From the point of view of an ordinary person, Michael Jackson did a lot of strange things. The most irritated fact for public was his refuse to communicate with the people of his age and his love for communication with children. In 1993, the artist was accused by Evan Chandler of his son's defilement, 13-year-old Jordy Chandler. During the trial were found inconsistencies between the victim's words and real facts. Most probably, the innocence of the singer could have been proved, but Jackson did not want to spend his nerves on the courts and offered a settlement agreement and a compensation of $20 million. It was accepted. Shortly after the death of Michael, Jordy admitted that the story was fiction, and then Evan committed suicide, apparently unable to cope with his feelings of guiltiness. In 2003 started new round of scandal, 13-year-old Gavin Arvizo said about harassment. The trial lasted more than 2 years, and in the end Michael was acquitted. As a result, he lost his health and a lot of money. 8 years after the singer's death, two young men who regularly visited Jackson demanded $1.5 billion from his heirs in order to compensate their spoiled childhood. Later, they became the heroes of the documentary Leaving Neverland, the authors of which tried to dispel the innocence myth of Jackson. How music and life of Michael Jackson influenced on you. What do you think? Post a comment below, subscribe, push the bell button and don't forget to like this video. This was Zumbalocom. See you later.